Hello everyone, it's Index here, and this is my first monthly life update on this channel. Well, really, this one has 2 months recorded on it because I forgot to do February. But anyways, in case you're wondering, this is a voiceover, as I feel like if I did record this live, I just wouldn't get through anything because I'd be distracted by the game. But anyways, let's start. So these 2 months have been incredibly different from any other period in my life. I've been through quite a few events that have really drastically changed my situation in life. February started off alright. I was doing decent at school. I had a lot of friends who I talked to regularly, and I just felt that everything was going pretty perfectly. That was until I had a pretty bad day, and then one of my good friends, was asking me what happened and if I was okay. I kind of just left her on a blank because I wasn't really feeling up to answering her, but what I didn't know at the time was that mostly everything in my life was about to change, all because of this one decision that I made. The day after, I was still feeling pretty sore from what had happened, although I did have a pretty decent day at school. It was before my piano lesson though when things started to get really heated because the same friend who was constantly asking about what had happened just started to ask more, and I explained to her why I didn't want people to know and that I wanted to keep it between myself and I'll be okay with dealing with it on my own. Yet she insisted otherwise, and we went back and forth like this for 20 minutes, and then I told her that I'll be signing off because I was just really stressed from it. And I know she was doing her best to help, but really at that moment in time I wasn't ready to accept her, to be honest with you. After this, we kind of just stopped talking. A couple of days later, I got a really long message from her, and it was quite a read. To sum it all up, she wanted a break from our friendship, which I did agree on because it was the most logical thing to do. It just made sense that we had a break from each other, which is what we did. Skip ahead to the week before Valentine's Day. I received a total surprise during my period 1 on the last day of school before half term, and believe it or not, it was a special Valentine's card. I flipped it over, and to my shock and surprise, I found out it was from my crush. Bro, I kid you not, I spent some 10 minutes. My heart was pounding, and I was literally shaking from the excitement. It was the best surprise I've ever had. Until not even 30 minutes later, I find out that it's a fake. Bro, my own friends sent it to me under her own name to get me gassed. Even though I didn't tell them, I initially felt angry and I felt lied to. But over the course of a day, I realized that they had just done me a huge favor. Because up until this point, I had done practically nothing to get her, and I didn't even feel like I deserved her. So it was then, on that very day, I promised myself to work harder and become a better person. Because I knew that she deserved the best. And at that moment in time, I felt nowhere near like that. Now, remember my friend? Well, my good friend that I was talking about earlier. Yeah, remember her? She reached out to me a couple of days later on call, and we caught up with each other and how we could fix the current situation. I'll be honest here, it was kind of awkward because we were talking like nothing had happened between us yet. Both of us knew what had happened. We knew exactly what had happened, and we knew that we were pretty much the cause of this, and it was pretty awkward. Now, I did start something pretty cool on the only week of half term, but I'll save that for a future video because it'll be pretty big. It'll be a pretty big video. But anyways, no more self promo. We're now halfway through the week. Pretty normal day. My brother and I, we're gonna get haircuts. We had a nice day planned out, strolling around town. But then I decided to check the mod channels in the server with all my close friends in it, and a lot of things happened which I won't get into. But to make an incredibly long story short, I left the server. I completely left it while defending my brother and also giving up my co-owner role in the process, which, let's be honest, doesn't really matter because it's a role, it's a Discord server, who cares? But it was the way that the people on the server treated my brother and I. I think the way we were treated wasn't fair, was heavily biased, and the way the whole situation was dealt with in the server was pretty dang immature, I'll be honest. My brother, I think he's still in the server even now, and I'm recording this at the end of March, may I just say. I left the server and I made myself ensure that I would never touch it again. After this, I completely cut myself off from the members of the server. I didn't want to deal with the immaturity and the toxicity that they brought, which also led me to realize that a fake friend can be anyone you think is a true friend, just in disguise. After realizing this, I started spending more time with those who I knew I could trust and who I felt close with. And surprisingly, even my grades at school started to slope upwards as I was no longer distracted by the Discord server. I felt much happier with myself, and the fact that I now put my head down and was being productive with my life made it all the more better. Now we're in March. I'll be honest, not a lot of stuff happened this month, but I'll do my best to narrate the highlights to you all. So, what did happen? We had a former drug addict and gang member come into our school to give us a heavily graphical and personal speech about the dangers of drug addiction. And to give some context about on how graphic his speech was, a few people got sick and some even passed out from the level of detail and the imagery shown, which was very graphical. But overall, very, very inspiring story, and I respect the man for turning his life around. I also started experimenting with short form content on YouTube, which you may have seen if you watch my main channel Index. Doing so, it got my channel finally to 700 subscribers, and this is after being stuck on 600 subs for almost 3 years. I also reconnected with a couple of my close friends from the Discord server, which is pretty cool. A month ago I never thought it would happen. Near the end of the month, I ended up injuring my ankle. I thought that I had snapped a tendon on the first couple of days, because it was pretty difficult to walk around for long periods of time. But that wasn't the case. However, on the 22nd of March, something pretty terrible occurred. I was sitting down in first period, completing some science work from the previous day, while listening to my special playlist for my special someone. Heh. Around 32 minutes into the lesson, I started feeling really lightheaded. I sighed because, well, I knew if my head was hurting now, I would have a headache for the rest of the day. But I started to realize that the music playing through my earbuds were becoming more and more muffled. Kinda like when you're listening to the neighbor's music through your wall. At the same time, my vision was gradually becoming more hazy and blurred. At this point, I was seriously concerned because I've never experienced this in my whole life. I asked my close friend if I looked okay and if he could open the door for some air. I also took my earbuds out from my ears and just watched the world around me continue to fade away into a deep, dark nothingness. After a couple of minutes though, my sight and hearing did slowly return to me, but I was sweating, and according to my teacher who was now next to me, I was also very pale. I felt sick. I wanted to throw up, but I couldn't trigger it. First aid was called and I was taken out of lesson into the medical room, where I stayed in the bed until my father came to pick me up an hour later. I realized that I had almost passed out, and this is downright the worst feeling I've ever experienced. The next couple of days were pretty boring. I couldn't go to school because of my ankle, and also because I was still feeling a bit queasy after almost passing out. One of my close friends suggested that I had sprained my ankle instead, since I had told him that I was finding it difficult to walk and that it only hurt when I moved my ankle at certain angles. He would prove himself to be correct later on, but I'll go into that later. For now though, I'm taking you, the viewer, to precisely a week later when my school, myself included, went down to London for a UCAS exhibition. In case you don't know what that means, It's a large hall with 150 or so stalls. Each stall is for a different university in a location in the UK, with exhibitors from each university at their respective stalls. The journey to the centre was pretty dang funny. I mean, sure, there were calm sections of the journey, like when I was taking photos of wonderful sights outside, but other times it was just a big bruh moment, not gonna lie. From my friend taking his anger out on a railway station, out of all things, to another one of my friends bringing a box of uncooked mushrooms with him onto the trip. Like, what? It was quite the journey. Upon arrival at the centre, my friends and I, as well as the hundreds if not thousands of other students in the hall, were tasked with spending our 2 hours wisely in picking up prospectuses for different universities that suited our career options and asking questions to the exhibitors regarding the courses we wanted to take. All in all, it was a very informative event, and by the end of the 2 hours, I had myself a little stack of prospectuses to take home with me. The journey home wasn't nearly as funny. I'm guessing everyone was drained from walking around for 2 hours straight, but a lot more scenery pictures were taken. Also, massive thank you to those who helped me during the day. My ankle still hadn't fully healed up at this point, and I cannot thank you guys enough for the support. Literally. Speaking of my ankle, I visited the doctor the day after, and he confirmed that my ankle was indeed sprained. I was given an ankle support which marginally helped it, but you know, it did ease the strain on my other leg as I could now put more weight on the injured ankle. Oh yeah, I have to mention this, I just have to. The day after I visited the doctor, I went back to school, and I saw my crush in her fit for the day. And holy dooly, I tell you, I've never liked large/baggy jeans on anyone until I saw her, and like, yo, she looked amazing, bro. Oh my gosh, 15 out of 10, no doubt. And that brings us to the end of March. I've developed quite a bit as a person, and I've learnt quite a lot about myself and about other people too. Compared to the start of February, I'm now doing much better at school, and I feel much more confident in myself thanks to the support of my true friends. I may have lost some along the way, but I think it's for the better, as for the first time in my life, I feel that I'm starting to grow and develop instead of being stuck in the same place all the time. I feel much more confident around the girl I like, and one day I hope that we can get something going along between the both of us. I've still got a long way to go, but I'm thankful for everything these 2 months have put me through. So, that's all from me for now. See you all in the next one. Bye. Also, 2 new videos coming soon on Index. Let's go.